What's up, everybody? It's your favorite trash man's favorite nerd. Today we are looking at KFC's Wreck Gar. We're going to look at the other one the next time that we talk. I'm not going to do them both together. I know that's become a common trend, but I really want to take the time and kind of look at the details of both. And we'll show the transformations of both, so this way you can see them both ways. It'll all work out. Trust me. So I just wanted to show you that he can sit on the bike. So that's cool. We're going to set him to the side now. Other than that, I want to give a shout out before we even get started too much to John Gibbons. He is a great dude, but these fingers we will definitely be talking about, but he got this guy in the set in TFCon Toronto, which I couldn't make this year. That dude was coming home. He lives in Massachusetts. He was coming home through the New York border. He was like, dude, man, I'll just drive down to you outside of Baltimore and drop these off, and then I'll drive back to Massachusetts because I'm not going to have time to go to the post office. And I was like, yeah, man, sounds good. Hey, would you mind grabbing me some food on your way? I mean, I could get it myself, but it's all the way across the street. But what I really said was, don't you do that, though. So we just waited a little bit longer. It wasn't worth all that. But I definitely appreciate, what that dude was willing to do in order for me to take a look at and get the information out to you. So he comes with a number of accessories, and we're going to try to cover them all. It is not the easiest thing to talk about. So we'll talk about this first, which is this thing here, and it comes apart a little bit, which we'll talk about later. But it's good enough. I love the coiled spring on there. Hey, baby.
Are you scared of spiders?
Am I scared of spiders? I wouldn't say I'm scared, but they're not my favorite things in the world.
What? You hate them?
I don't hate them. They have a job. They have a purpose.
Oh.
All right. Back to this.
Back to the review.
Back to doing the review. Anyway, there's not a lick of paint on it, and I think it would have really benefited from some paint. But it is a cool sculpt, and he holds it fairly well. It tabs in to the side here, typical MP style, and then you just grip the fingers around it. So he holds that well, so that's not an issue. And then he comes with 3 guns, and there's this one. They're all basically done the same. I'm dropping them all over the floor, but they're this gray plastic, and then they have silver paint detailings on them all. And I appreciate the silver paint detailings, and then on top of that, the sculpts are pretty good. And we'll run through to make sure you can hold them. 1, 2, 3. So 3 for 3. It doesn't get much better than that. And then there's all sorts of, let's go through these. So then he has these 2 tires. We'll take those off as well. We'll just take them off as we go because it'll make it easier for our articulation chat. Plastic with paint on the wheel, and I think that's a yellow paint on an orange. And yellow paint's hard to do, and this is done pretty well. And then all these little spiky bits around are all orange, and then the rubber tires, and it's a nice rubber too. It's very good. And he gets 2 of those, and then he has these little spiky bits, and they're all over the place. And you can tab them in. There's a lot of different places you can tab. Wherever you see a port, you can tab them. And we'll show you. There's a lot of different options. We'll show you when we get to the second bot, like of swapping out parts and all that kind of stuff. The one thing I did want to point out, and I'm not sure if it's just his, is this case here is like, these are held on with like tension tabs, and they're barely on. Now, I'm not sure if they were always this way, but that is a bummer. This one's held on a lot better, and I guess yeah, this one just doesn't hold as well for me. But he comes with 2 of these. They're like little saddle bags, so to speak, and they open up. Let me see if I can't get it. If you push here, they open up, and then you can use this for storage. Like he has his TV. We talk TV. That's in there, so you can put that. And might as well talk about it since we're here. This is actually nice. It looks like it has a purple finish on it, and then the black is painted. The W2 on there is painted. Maybe it's Keith's taxes. It's like a little subliminal Easter egg for Keith's taxes. And then little red dots painted, and then the blue is painted. The black. I mean, that's how you do it. Repro label on there for that little chick that was on the movie during the part, and that'll be good to go. So we're going to set that to the side as well. And this is really why I wanted to do these two bots in two videos. So the head, we have a hinge swivel, which is my preferred way of doing business. Actually, yeah, it's a different type too, because it's not at the base, so it's up inside the neck, and it works really well. You can't get down to the side very well, and you can't get up to the side very well. So that is a bit of a bummer. But looking forward, no problem. But yeah, articulation there is a little weird. If they would have put it at the base, it would have worked out a bit better for them, I believe. Translucent plastic here for the windshield. That looks good. Gray bits, they're on ball pegs here. And then we have this base tan plastic with then this yellow painted on, I believe. I believe so. And then the face is painted, and the mustache and goatee are a softer plastic, and the eyes are painted. And I do like the head sculpt. And I do think it has, like, I always thought when I was a kid, before we started talking so much, that Wreck Gar was kind of a menacing looking character. And I think they captured that. His face may be a little chunky, but I think overall it's really well done. So then we have the torso. We have, we have his little niblets sticking out of the front there. Which is a character design, right? And they're painted, so that's cool. Or they're glued in. They might be glued in. It might be that this bottom part is painted. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. This bottom part is painted, and then this piece is glued in. And then we have down here, we have this, and that looks like it has a finish on it. These side pieces, they rotate out. Now, this is mainly used for swapping out pieces, which we'll talk about in the next video. But if you like this look, I think you're going to have a wide variety of Junkions to choose from when this is all over. So if you want to individualize them a little bit, it'll look a bit ugly from the side. But from the, let's see if you can't see that a little better. But from the front on a shelf, it'll give you some options, just visually, which is nice. Let's see. So then we have the saddlebags. They're on a little hinge with the swivel, as we saw. No paint on them, but I think they're fine. We'll talk about the arms. They're on a ratchet forward and back. It's a universal joint. And then no ratchet up and down. Articulation, though, is pretty good. Bicep swivel. And these arms actually pull out. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video. It's not a bad thing, though. And then we got a paint orange band there. That looks good. Little rubber spiky bits plugged in here. We have a single jointed elbow. No, double jointed, getting you the full Monty. So that's nice. And then we have the white paint on there, which looks good. And we have the white paint underneath, and it's like, look, I have to say this because I don't give Keith a whole lot of slack, but not a bit of joint rub. You see that? That's not the easiest thing to do. That's an engineering choice, and I like it. And then that's fine there. For the wrist, we have a swivel. And then we have, what I don't like, are individually articulated fingers. Now, they're all, okay, so you see them. So we have ball peg, little tiny ball peg, hinge, little tiny ball peg, hinge. And they just don't feel good. I don't know how else to describe it. And then we have a ball peg and a hinge. It feels fiddly. It feels like you want to be extra fragile with them, and I'm just not crazy about that. I think that, like, if you look at Fanstoys Sludge, like, those are really well articulated individual fingers. But yeah, okay. Now this is a little spiky bit that fell off. This is one of the negatives of this guy, is that stuff is kind of falling off as you manipulate it and stuff, but I think it's worth it for the gimmick. But we'll talk about that later. Okay, so we'll get to the ratcheted waist, which feels really good. We have hip flaps here, not a lick of paint on them, but they rotate up. And then we had to expose universal joints, which get you forward to there, ratcheted forward, back to there, ratcheted back, no ratchet out to the side. So that would have been nice if they did that, but the range of motion is great. And then we have a thigh swivel. We have paint here, and it doesn't match this, but, you know, because of the junk, you know, kind of idea behind these guys, concept-wise, like, I don't think it's necessarily bad. You know, like, you can imagine that they'd be made up of different parts that don't match and stuff, so it doesn't bother me here. Figure specific, I guess. Then we have a single jointed ratcheted knee that works really well. Coming down to, and there's die cast here at least, and maybe some of the feet are die cast as well. Coming down to the calf, we have this beige, this like darker, these two shades of brown, basically, and it looks good. Looks good. Everything is where it should be. A little bit of stuff around there, and I've also noticed some lube, so to speak, between the torso and the universal joint here. Just, you know, one of those things. Just makes you feel weird messing with it. And then you have these guards here, which you can come down to kind of keep your sculpt. For the feet themselves, we have a ball peg down into the foot. Get you an ankle tilt. It's not really an ankle tilt, though, is it? But it basically works as well. Let's give it to him. Down, a little bit up, not much. And then the rocker is built into the ball joint. He also has a heel spur here. But I have found that he doesn't really need it, and it's something that can get forgotten in Transformation, but he does have one, so I just keep mine tucked away, though. And then we have paint, two shades of orange, and it is chipping a little bit around the die cast, so that has to be noted. But otherwise, that is this guy. And there's a size comparison of him with Unique Toys Blur, which is kind of misleading size-wise. They're about the same size. Just that Blur's a bit in the back. And then Carry, MP, Hot Rod, MP Magnus, and Ollie. So great size. Looks good. So we've got him stripped down to bare bones. We're going to take this backpack. We're going to pull the whole thing back. Now before you can go any further, contrary to the instructions, you have to open up these pieces here, which will allow you to pull the head forward and allow you to bring this piece up and out from the back. Now that piece that you heard fall off is the side view mirror, and we're going to get into that when we get there. But they're on the side of these handlebars here, and we'll get back to it. Now this section can be a little frustrating. So take this piece first and bend it down, the translucent piece, and then flip this whole piece down. Now, if you get these handlebars sticking straight out, and you can see I had another little mirror fall off. We'll talk about that afterwards. But you can rotate this whole piece around. It's not the easiest thing to do, and you don't want to put a whole lot of torque at the end of this because you don't want to break it. Now, what that should let you do is let you push these together, flatten this out, and you need to manipulate it. Make sure your shoulder pieces are a little bit more down now. You need to manipulate it underneath this piece here, and it's on a series of hinges, and you just gotta kind of do your best. I pulled it just a little bit further, and I got a little bit more wiggle room, and then you just manipulate this translucent piece through, and then you can fold that up, and now you've got that at least where it's supposed to be. We'll come back and work on that later, but at least that's a pretty challenging part, and you've got it done. So then you can tuck these little pieces there and open this back up, and you can tuck the head deep inside that cavity, and you gotta really push it in there so it's sitting as flush up against the back as it possibly can, and that'll come to pay off later. Keep these pieces open for now. Okay, so next I just removed the saddlebag because it's constantly falling off for me. Make the fist with your individual fingers, which is easier said than done because they're individualized fingers and articulated wise, and they prove to be a pain. And have them so that the palms are facing towards you, and open up this little piece here. I've already done it on this side. And you rotate that around, close the fist back up, and you want to collapse this in just a way that the bottom of the bicep fits into the forearm here, keeping this on the, still facing outward. So if the arm is straight like this, what you want is, right now the arm is in line with the body and the forearm is not. It's at an angle. So you want the forearm to be parallel with the body. So just move the arm so that that is the case. Open up your shoulder flap and tuck this around. So, and then you adjust this arm as need be so that this pegs back in and keeps that straight. So we'll do it again on the other side. Hopefully it'll be a little smoother. Once again, you keep this piece here flipped up, rotate the arm, and then you want to collapse this so that the bicep fits in the forearm, keeping the individual fingers in line the best you can. And make sure that's up. I'm not sure what that was that just fell. But rotate so that the forearm is as much parallel to the body as you can make it. Rotate this piece around and then close up the shoulder piece around it. Alright, so for the feet, remember I said keep this heel spur, you don't have to keep it out. He doesn't really have a hard time standing. Collapse the foot and then rotate it around. Collapse the foot, rotate it around. Now, this part here flips up, and this part here flips up. And don't forget that, because these are thin pieces of plastic, and I think you could do some damage to this figure. You also need to open up this. This is all prep work for the big step of this thing. So open that up. And for the hands, I think they have to be facing inward for clearance. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize, and we'll work it out. But okay, so that's our prep work here. So the next thing we need to do is extend this. Now, this is prepped. What we need to do is put this tab in there, this tab in there. There's one inside the foot here, or the calf in there, and then the foot goes into the forearm, which I can tell you is easier said than done. But there's one. We'll keep going. You can keep this orange piece open, the hand tucks in there. I'm not crazy about this. There it is. Okay, that went pretty well. Now let's get this last one. This makes me nervous. It made me more comfortable if it was on my own toy, but there it is. That's right. One. The second one is easier than the first one because you have a point of reference of where exactly it should be. Oh no, it's way up further. I was wrong about where. There. Two, and then these two pieces tab together, but we'll do that last. We'll get the foot in there, and then we'll tab those two together. And that is the bulk of it done. And that, I'm not going to lie to you, that feels good when it works right. Now we have to do this bit. Open up your handlebars so that they're sitting aligned, which will give you more wiggle room back here. These two tabs here have to go into this, and now that's sorted, and that is a great weight off. I don't like the engineering of that. We'll talk about that a bit later. Let's go ahead and put our rear wheel in. This would probably have been better to have done when we were colliding it all together. Poor choice of words. But still not impossible to do now. but not. That's just going to have to be the best it's going to get right now. We can then sort this out here. These are on sliding mechanism. Well, I'm not sure if they're actually there. See, this happened last time too. This is poorly done also, but these two pieces here flip down, and these tab in up top, and you have to flip these down and then connect these back, right? Because mine fall off every time. And I don't want to. There, and then these tab back in to the side. Rotate your saddlebags. We'll put the other one that keeps falling off on later. And then we're gonna build the front end wheel. That's done by taking your weapon, splitting this, and then taking this piece off there. That kind of sucked. And we're gonna connect this to here and here. And let's keep that detail on the outside. And then, oh, we can't. Oh, yes, we can. We can just turn it like that, and then we'll turn these pieces. I just like to see that. I guess I could turn them on the other side too. Doesn't matter. Put these in here. That builds the front end, and the very last click is tabbing in place. And that's her. We'll clean her up and we'll take a look at her. And I gotta say, I like it. I really do. It's big, it's beefy. There's a size comparison next to Sideswipe Mold Tiger Tracks. And there it is next to its other bike. And I like it. I think it's cool. I do. I think it's well done. Couple issues I have engineering wise with it. Just getting to the mode is kind of how this section is built, and then how these two pieces are kind of sorted in also. But I don't even mind it, all armed up, which I usually do. It works for me. I think it looks good. I really do. As you can see, I clipped the mirrors back on there. I advise you just take these off and store them in one of these compartments in robot mode. But this, it's sharp looking. I don't have a complaint. I think they did a bang up job. Cheers. Well done. I was so smitten that I almost forgot the few features. So it has the kickstands on both sides. They're die cast and they flip up and down. Smart move for a fiddly bit. And then the front kind of has a little bit of steering action up here. Not much, but just the slightest, and I think that that's more than enough. Final thoughts wise, before we get started, I wanted to show he can store every accessory. Guns down here, these two things in there, and etc. So, look, here's the negatives, okay? If this orange would have been painted, that would have made this figure look much better. If this rear piece here was engineered better and this piece here was engineered better, it'd be much better. If this thing didn't fall off the side here, it would also be much better. And if they could finally get a grip, so to speak, on their individually articulated fingers, that would be a lot better. A couple other things I've noticed is there's paint chipping. That was pointed out to me prior to me getting him, but I also noticed some around here on the back side of the forearm and stuff. So if they could get a handle on their paint too, that would be much appreciated. But outside of that, that's all I really got. This is probably the best piece I've ever handled from KFC. Like, I'd have to say that. The materials are pretty good. A couple places move strange and kind of like they have to warp around, like these chest panels. You kind of have to like bend them around the head and stuff. So like they kind of need to be not the same level plastic as some of the other pieces in order to do that, but that's more so an engineering issue to begin with. But for the most part, the materials are good. Die cast where it should be. Paint all over the place and applied fairly well. Wish it didn't chip, but where it is applied fairly well. I'm not sure how their application process is, but they need to work on that chipping. Joints are good everywhere. The sculpt is great. The transformation is really enjoyable with a few places that cause exception. If those places could have been worked out, that would have been, it really would have taken my breath away. All the accessories are smart and have a place to go and have utility and have function. I dig that. Articulation's good. It's a good piece. I can't really say much more than that. It's a good piece. I'm definitely getting them. I'll probably get as many as I can to troop build them a bit, and I recommend you do the same. It's not perfect, but it's the closest KFC has gotten so far. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.